Hello, everybody. Um, um, I want to talk about some things in our society, which is many of you know me, but you don't know. Many of you don't know who I am and what I'm about, actually. And that's just one of the reasons why I'm making this extensive interview. This is extra, as I'm not sure yet how to present this to the public, but it might be necessary because the games went too far. Um, I'm born in the capital of Croatia, where I was living for 4 years with my parents. My mother is Serb, my father is Croat. My father was officer in the Yugoslav army, and when I was 4 years old, we moved to the place where my father's from. And well, my childhood, in my teens, war happened in Croatia. It was really hard time, and things here were, when there is wartime, and we had some leftovers from the prior system that were, well, you know, like things, grey business and mentality, and yeah, and then war happened, national hate, and things were happening here, so it wasn't easy. After the war, I was in the high school, and we were also moving back and forth between the place where I am now and city nearby, maybe 1 hour away. Where I was going to school in two different cities, high school, and I was going to elementary school in this place and in one of those cities. So I was moving a lot, and then I was finishing. Well, in between the jobs that I did, I was working in construction. I was working in bars, across different bars, and then I was working on a fishing boat for I don't know, short time, and then I was doing different internships too. Anyway, after that, I finished 10 months regular army service, and in a short time, I was on the ship cruising the world, working 70 hours a week, where I was getting ahead. I went through different, I don't know, how many? About, I don't know, 6 or 7 different positions to get to the management across 9 years. Very hard work and work on high frequency among people of the world. So I got some good experience, and I was getting ahead. I was building my life. Then I came back again here, and I invested everything I earned. Me with my what is now my ex-wife, in the house where I live, in two different apartments, and I was working also. I started to work. I when I didn't find to get on the same page with some people where I was going for interviews to work in hotels, happened that mm, I changed industry, and I came back to construction where I was working with my father in the 90s, and I expanded it to real estate, and I got licensed for real estate agency, and then I was doing also got licensed for some different things like protection at work, and I was expanding business and working like very hard, also 60, 70 hours a week, and I was actually investing more than what was coming to me for that time. I started one big job, which was now I can see that as something that I was seduced to, as my surroundings was not honest. And when came time, as I was the main actor there, and when the time came that I need to count on, when their support was supposed to count, all the columns were taken out. Yeah. Those things are illegal if they are done intentionally. from many sides. Anyway, I continued to do what I do. And then 3 years I was working on bare minimum financially. Everything went south. And I thought, it's going south for us. But it didn't go south for us, it went south for me. Well, I was led to believe that it is going south as everything what I was doing was like together for the benefit of everybody. I was led to believe that that's what I'm, I was led to believe that I'm gonna take over. And I was investing myself, my life, my work, my money for years. And when I was already depleted, all the columns were taken out. I was left alone. You should see me like 3 or 4 years ago. In 2006, I came from the ships and went for 3 years. I was managing. As I was busy, I was expanding, I was investing, I was all over the field, the office, the clients, construction, real estate. I was everywhere, and I improved in every aspect. And this company that I worked with was still on the bare fundamentals what I left them in the 90s. Today is much different, like on so many areas. And then when I gave everything I had, I was depleted as I was working. I didn't care about, I know I had this philosophy, you work in your life, money's coming. But no, I invested everything. And then I was told, you don't have nothing here anymore. Yeah. And then you should see me 3 or 4 years ago. I looked 10 years older than I look now. Than what I look now. I looked at that 3 or 4 years ago. I looked 10 years older. When I saw pictures, when I opened my eyes, I saw those pictures. Yeah, and I had to move, so I started to, before I was going to gym, and as I was busy, I neglected that a bit, but I was still moving. I was very active, so that didn't really show on my physiognomy. And but when business went down, I was left with the working office. I was still working 10 hours a day approximately, but I was left with the sitting job, and I didn't work out. And that came to me as my metabolism works. And when I stopped, I started to gain weight. And anyway, I had to move. When I decided, even alone, I need to move. And yeah, I started walking. When I increased the pace, and I to get my physical self in shape, as I think physical and mental is very connected. And so I did. I started to walk. I started to prolong the route. I started to brisk walk. Then I joined the gym until I had money for the gym. I even didn't have shoes at that time already. I didn't have shoes, sport shoes to go to gym, but I was going to in slippers. And then when 5 months passed and I didn't have what to pay through those months with, just the gym membership, which is not much. They asked me if I'm gonna pay, and I said I don't have what with, and I'm gonna come back when I do. But I had to continue, so I went across the street and hills around and grabbing bar where I could find it and doing calisthenics, doing some CrossFit, doing some swimming, and I got myself back in shape. Not only that, but I um, I was still working. I continued to do the work and to invest in the business that I was doing for many years now. And then I got in with my ex-wife, and she took the kids away, and also that's one of the very hard things. Yeah, they're supposed to come, I don't know, in a few days after a year that they were away from me. I even don't know if they come, as all my communication is cut off. My phone disappeared. I mean, my number disappeared. Then my phone was my personal belongings. Started to disappear. Things were happening. Like I'm gonna read what was happening. Not only from the company that I was working with, where I faced mobbing and harassment, but that was spreading to our society here, community, and further. Yeah, I want to bring this to public attention because I don't think we should engage that kind of behavior. We have to put barriers there. We had in our place, I'm gonna read just now what was going on. We had in our place 2 people hanging themselves. We have only 2,000 people living here, and we had 2 people hanging themselves a few days ago. And every a while, somebody gets line around his neck. Also, we have many kids who die in car accidents. Nobody's doing nothing to prevent that, or they're not doing enough. And for the last 10 years, I live here and I see what's going on. And people engage behaviors which are not allowed, they're illegal. Let me read some. I found when I got into that situation, I actually didn't know what was happening. But I was learning, studying, and I found one in between others. I found one text on internet, which is talking about harassment, psychical, emotional harassment. So I'm gonna, and that from word to word is what was going on these few years, from different sides. So it's in Croatian, so I'm going to be translating just now. This is the report which I reported to two different Ministry of Justice cases where I'm involved. Also, I'm falsely accused, and I was put in prison because of that. Where is it? Yeah. What do those people who engage harassment, what they do, and how that works? And this is not, and usually that one thing, as by itself, don't mean very much. And if you say and complain about it, you're going to be, But when you take years and years of molestation like that, every day, every morning you wake up, you get molested. And then tomorrow and next year, then that becomes a very big issue. Anyway, those who harass, they lie and say half-truths to avoid their own actions. They accuse and they are guilt-tripping to retract attention from themselves. They refuse to take your perspective, but irrationally defending their own agenda. They are not allowing information to go out in the areas that affect lives of those abused. And that gives them the control to control the future events. They avoid to acknowledge their own feelings, your own feelings, but often they say that they are emotionally insulted. They do passive-aggressive excavation, and they change subjects suddenly to distract from themselves and their actions. They are working to that so that other feels worthless, and they to try to lower their self-confidence, and they want to bring those abused to their level. Threats or hints of physical and mental abuse. They deny that something is wrong, and they're not responsible, and they lie. They show inadequate emotional outbursts, and like distract your attention, confusing the abused person, and they are guilt tripping. They forget their promises whatsoever, and their commitments. They forbid success, demanding unreasonable demands, and then they take things out and a person out of context and putting them in a category loser. They it's very emotionally depleting to talk about this, because this was going on for so many years. Their action and promises are not in line, and they say one thing and do the other. They only act nice when they are in the corner, when there is no other option. They are suppressing self-expression of the abused. They cut them, so when somebody speaks, they cut them so it's not allowed for them to talk, and then they look how to remove the choices of others. In that way, they are taking control for themselves, and they ask inadequate questions or insinuating comments that are drawing out emotional reactions. That's how I was put in prison. After years of molestation, I said to somebody, "Garbage, go out." And then police came to put me in the prison, and police on 2 different cases where I reported physical attack on me, they didn't react. Actually, they came to react, and they molested me with inadequate interrogation. And dozens of officers are involved in this, where I reported so many things. Not only this, I reported so many things. I reported dozens of construction violations. Here, nobody came, because I put that agenda on several different tables. But let me finish this. They're humiliating others in public situations to show their superiority. All these things, in certain situations, they are acceptable. They can be found why those situations happened. But when that's intentional, and when that's your way of life, and that's what you do, that's illegal. That's criminal. That's inhuman. Anyway, they pretend they understand what you worry about, and then again they discard that, just to bring you down. When you talk about things like this, you go down, you get emotionally upset, and then they pretend they understand you and they listen to you, and then they just discard you. So they just leave you in the gutter. They gossip on your name, on your job, on your face in a society, and they threat with police and mental institutions. Everything you say, everything you do is wrong, and that comes not only from immediate surroundings. This was happening to me, like from very wide community. As I engage all my life, I engage very wide society structure, and in so many. Now, when I got down, I found so many people who tried to take a hammer and just pound you into the ground. It's just, I never did that. And then police, no reaction or inadequate reaction, or harassment continues from their side. And not only police officers, but judges too. They don't react, or they react on my saying, but I have proof. Judge told me in the face, he said, you can take that proof and take it to the Mars. And I reported these things. And not only these things, and this is just the beginning of my story. On 2 different cases. And the law is that you need to react on whatever criminal activities there is and to investigate, even that's not your case. That's corruption in society. Corruption is not only taking money and giving to some official to do something that you need, I don't know, whatever, illegally. This is society corruption, much bigger and wider area. I don't know. You know, even when you when you give money in certain situations to somebody, some official, first thing, I don't know, different situations. Like I had somebody trying to refuse chocolate from me because I appreciate their work. Up to, I don't know what kind of amount you can give present to whoever you want, even official. And then again, in the wartime, we had funds being transferred for the weapons. And that was illegal on some level. But again, we can inspect legality of those things as people have the right to defend themselves. So that's again corruption, which is maybe not acceptable, but you know, we can talk about it at least and get to a right solution. It's not, yes, it's not black and white in many things in life. Anyway, corruption of this and this, what I'm just talking about now, is much worse than somebody, I don't know, paying somebody to have a piece of land or whatever, or a pier. Yeah, I don't know what to do, because this came too far. I already wrote a letter, 3-page letter to US government and, I mean, embassy and EU officials. I don't know still where to send, as I asked for political asylum on personal base, because I've been attacked on national base also. That's not a big issue, as I know how to deal with that. But that's only part of harassment that I'm experiencing every day for past, I don't know, 7 years or more, because I wasn't aware before what was going on. I don't know. And then I try to bring that to attention to wider public, and I send it to the government, and I send it to the different attorneys. And I said, well, attorney, something like, I'm not sure, some rights attorney that's in charge of something. And on my, everything what I wrote, what was going on, they neglected all the criminal activities. They neglected all the harassment. And they gave me an answer. This is a legal issue of property. Yes, it is. As all my property is taken away from me. I mean, my rights are taken away, my property rights. But that's not the single issue. The bucket is full with many things. And even if it's property, we need to react and take care of it. That's criminal. Anyway, I have to raise my voice because I'm not gonna take this.